Hello everyone, it's your friends from the Tarrant County Democratic Party. We're working very hard to turn Tarrant blue on Election Day. A lot of you have been asking, how do I do my part? Well, it's quite simple. Just remember 4 important things to do before Election Day. Number 1, register to vote. Go to registertexas.com and see if you're registered. If not, you can do so up until October 5th. The second thing you should do is get ready for early voting. You can vote early this year from October 13th to October 30th. Early voting will be critical this election. As you may know, Texas is now a swing state, and turnout will likely be unprecedented. We want to do everything we can to avoid large crowds on November 3rd. We need to make sure everyone can vote quickly and safely. When you enter the voting booth, remember step number 3. Don't stop at the top. This year, Republican elected officials have taken away straight ticket voting. Republicans making it harder to vote? Shocking, I know. Let's show them that these kinds of tactics won't work in Texas. Vote for every Democrat up and down the ballot. Don't stop at the top. When you're finished early voting, you can help us out with one last thing. Sign up to be an election worker. The more workers we have, the more polling places we can have open on Election Day. You can sign up at tarrantdemocrats.org. This is another important step that will make voting easier and safer. It's also a paying job. Help out your community and get paid. So remember, registertexas.com. Early voting. Don't stop at the top. And be an election worker. With your help, we can turn Tarrant and Texas blue.
Hi, and welcome to this Thursday evening edition of our Zoom calls. And tonight is a very, very special edition of our Zoom calls because one of the things I am most proud of during my tenure as chair of the county party is that we are we may be the only Democratic Party to have an organized labor committee as part of our leadership team. And so I am so excited today because not only are we going to be visiting with and honoring our partners in labor, but we're also going to be meeting with some critical races for state representative, those candidates that we need to get elected. So I have the distinct pleasure this evening of introducing somebody that I have long admired, and I'm going to make this person laugh. I'm looking at him, but before he's going to introduce someone for us. But one of the first things that we did when we started our labor committee was to make sure that we got amazing people to serve on that committee. And we have 2 extraordinary co-chairs. One of them is with us tonight. He is, and he has the distinct honor of being my Senate District Committee man, but he is also the chair of the Tarrant County Democratic Party Labor Committee, and it gives me a great pleasure to introduce you to Steve Ruiz. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Deborah. How are you doing? I'm
good.
Very, very happy to be here. Obviously, it's, casual COVID days today. But, I'm really excited about the fact that you were the first county who stepped up and approached labor, talked to us about having an advisory team that you guys could look to and ask those important labor questions of, to get an understanding of how this all functions. Obviously, any time that the Democratic Party, no matter where it is, anywhere in the country, has been successful in moving forward and helping to rebuild the middle class, it's always been in partnership with the labor movement and the civil rights movement, and we love to see that keep going. The fact that we are only the second county in the U.S. who has a committed labor relations team organized under the county party is just phenomenal. I'm glad to be part of it. We're hoping to expand that out to other counties around the state. We've still got 253 to go, and I am so happy that we're able to do that first here in Tarrant County.
So great. So that's amazing. So now, Steve, I get to steal your thunder for 1 minute before I turn it over to you. Because one of the reasons that our partnership with labor has just gotten so strong is not only the work that you've done, but the work that the president of the Central Labor Council has done. And so I want to tell you that the Central Labor Council has been so supportive of the party. And I know so much of that is because of what you have done, but also the president of the Central Labor Council is here with us tonight, Brian Goldman, and I'd like to give him a chance to say a few words, Steve, before I turn it back over to you. Brian, hi.
How you doing? How you doing, Deborah? Everything's good. Is that Brian Golden? You're like that golden, like the ring, like a.
Yeah, I don't know what I did.
It's all right. Yeah, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that we've got all our candidates here. We got our next Speaker of the House that's about to show up and chat with us. We are about to flip the. We are about to flip Tarrant County.
Yes.
Tarrant County is the key to everything. They say that so goes Tarrant, so goes Texas, so goes Texas, so goes the nation. And that's what we are about to bring to the table. Labor, we need labor-friendly folks down in Austin. And I don't mean just, labor-friendly folks in Austin. Let me put it this way. It took 41 years for people and Congress and the Supreme Court to realize that 9-year-olds should not be in the mines.
Mm-hmm.
They used to put children in the mines, and Congress and the law and everybody favored money over people for years. 41 years from when they decided to say, all right, look, 9-year-olds in the mines is not a good idea. Let's have a minimum wage. Let's move forward with this. It took 41 years for that. It took 17 days for them to move TARP. TARP was that money that they passed back in 2008. That $700 billion package to bail out the banks. We need a more worker-friendly Congress. We need a more worker-friendly legislation in Austin. We need a more worker-friendly everywhere. But that's where we need to go, and that's where we need to work, and that's where that's what we're pushing for at the Labor Council. We need to keep moving forward with that. It's insanity that, how we're not getting where we're going.
I got you.
I'm just amazed at how they sold this package of goods of like trickle down economics, and I don't know how to fight it.
Yeah.
So,
well, we're going to fight it, Brian, by electing great Democrats that are labor friendly. And I know your name. I don't know what I was thinking, but you're amazing. And the work you do is amazing. And so we are so delighted to be in this fight with labor. And so I'm now going to turn it over to you and Steve. Steve, are you here? Because
yes,
So when you talk about creating a legislature that is labor friendly, 5 of the 9 seats that we need to flip are right here in Tarrant County. We have 11 House seats here in Tarrant County. 3 of them are already held by Democrats, but 5 more we can turn and bring over to the Democratic column. And so tonight, we have the honor of, you all have invited several of those candidates here to visit with us. So I'm going to turn it back over to Steve so that we can start hearing from our legislative candidates, because you want to hear from them and not from me. So Steve, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Everybody heard Brian. You just heard his voice and what happens when he gets extremely, extremely mad. There are so many points to talk about on this conversation. I don't think we have time for it all. It would take a 10 to 15 year class in just learning labor law, and we rely on each other to do that. But a couple of things I wanted to point out. He pointed out, child labor and how long it took for them to decide that it wasn't feasible to have our children in the workplace, putting them in harm's way. As we know, we've all seen what happens when you're a mature adult who sees your employer asking you to do something that could potentially place you in harm's way. It could end your life, slip off of a 30 or 40 foot ledge and fall to your death. That's not a decision you want children to make. And that was something that the labor movement seized upon and said, you know what, we've got to make a change in this country and in our state and with our laws. And so that's where they started going after legislative changes. And with that, it doesn't matter what you're looking at, whether it's workplace rights, whether it's, social justice issues that are out there. We've always been at the forefront, and we've always partnered with our Democratic friends in order to get things done. So with that being the case, when we look at why we're partnering with the Democratic Party so hard right now, it's because when I was speaking the other night, I brought up an interesting statistic for them to talk about, voter turnout and why we're supporting so hard. And it was that when I look at Congress, we keep a scorecard about every single bill that they, vote for, abstain from, or vote against, and how it impacts all of our working families in America, but more importantly here in Texas. And what we saw is that, in the last session and over the lifetime, Democrats have a 97 percentile rate of voting in favor of laws that protect and enhance workers' rights, whereas Republicans right now are sitting at 31%. That is a horrible value so for them to sit there and say that they're all about the American working class or they're about the American worker. That is just a complete fallacy. It is another one of the 22,000 lies you hear. So that being the case, that's where we're showcasing the candidates tonight, talking about them. I've had the wonderful opportunity of being elected and chosen to head up the COPE Endorsements Committee for the Tarrant County Central Labor Council. And yes, 5 of those 9 seats are right here in Tarrant. Due to Brian's work on the last session, and Angie, who's also on this call hiding in the background as she always does, they were able to get most of these seats within striking distance, which is why we got set up for this right now. So without any further ado, thank you, Brian, for all the work that you did last session. Thank you, Angie, for everything you did. And more importantly, to Deborah and Brian both for asking me and actually approaching me at the same time about coming on and saying, hey, we need a better conduit of information to go between the party and our partners over at Labor. And the same from Brian. We need a better team. So they decided and allowed me to actually create a committee rather than it being one person, to make sure that we had the best minds available. So now we have actually 9 people on that committee. Most of them are presidents or officers in their union among 8 separate industries. That is awesome to behold and to watch grow. So I appreciate that. And I think I've gone over my time. So if we would, Deborah, take it away and start introducing all the wonderful candidates that we've been able to support this year.
Great. So tonight we have 4 amazing candidates here for state representative. 2 of them are incumbents and are currently serving, but they're up for re-election. They have to run every 2 years. So tonight you're going to hear from the extraordinary House of Representatives, House District 90, Ramon Romero. You're going to hear from an amazing candidate for House District 93, Dr. Lydia Bean. You're going to hear from one of my favorite attorneys in the whole wide world, who is running for House District 97, Elizabeth Beck. And finally, you're going to hear from our next Speaker of the House. I'm calling it into existence, the Honorable Chris Turner. And so I think we're going to go. I'm looking at my notes. I was trying to see if Representative Romero had joined us. I think we had lined them up to be based on their districts, but I don't see Representative Romero in the chat. So I'm going to start by going to Dr. Lydia Bean. And I'm going to ask Dr. Bean if you'll introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about where House District 93 is and why you're running and what you need us to do.
Thanks, Deborah. Hi, everyone. I'm Lydia Bean, and I'm running for Texas House District 93. That includes Central to North Arlington, and then it snakes its way through Tarrant County, going up through far North Fort Worth, all the way to Denton County. You can see it behind me. This is my district. And I am a small business owner. I'm a former teacher and a new mom. And I'm running because I've been a community leader in Tarrant County for a long time. And I've been working for economic and racial justice. I founded a nonprofit that organizes churches, mosques, and synagogues to work together for social justice. And we worked to pass ordinances that protected families from payday lenders and auto title lenders. I did work to help expand paid sick time in Texas so more folks could stay home when they get sick or stay home with a sick child or loved one, which we can all agree is very important in the age of COVID. And what I learned from all this is that my very own state representative was one of the main opponents of all this good work we were doing to expand access to healthcare, to expand pre-kindergarten, fully fund public education, you name it. My opponent was actually one of the first to file a bill that would actually take paid sick days away from working families in Texas. And I said, that's wrong. We need to see the change we want to see as a community. We need a better state representative. And I was willing to step up and be a champion for the community. And I'm really excited to have the support of labor. I really think my labor endorsements, they're the most cherished by me. I love all my endorsements, but I'm particularly proud to be supported by the Tarrant County CLC, as well as the Texas AFT, the AFL-CIO, and a number of other groups, and UFCW. And I really would love to have your support in flipping this House seat. So what we need right now are folks to talk to voters in my district and encourage them to not stop at the top, to vote for every Democrat, and just tell folks about how the Texas House affects their lives. And so things like fully funding education, expanding Medicaid, making sure everyone can access quality, affordable health care, that the Texas House is essential to get that change. So I would love it if our labor allies would consider joining our next phone bank. So I'll drop the link in the chat. So you just go to mobilize.us and also /Lydia Bean. Or if you can't phone bank, please consider chipping in, $25 or another amount. Just go to lydiabeanfortexas.com, and we'd love to have your support. So yes, thanks so much everyone for organizing this today.
So thank you so much, Dr. Bean. And I will tell you, for those of you who are sitting at home in COVID times, phone banking is one of the easiest things you can do. And I will tell you, the state has we get the predictive dialer, Dr. Bean, every Tuesday from the state party. And so I made calls last night. You can sit up at your computer. You don't have to do anything. You can eat bonbons and the call is delivered right to you. It's also scripted, so it's very easy. So I'm encouraging everybody, please look at her link in the chat. Also, there's a phone bank every Tuesday night for Tarrant County from the TDP. So thank you so much, Dr. Bean, and we'll be back with some questions, but I want them to meet your fellow candidate who in the 2018 election, I could not have asked for a better partner. And I knew that Tarrant County was well looked after when we looked at voter intimidation and voter suppression tactics. We had one of my favorite lawyer who led that team in Austin Austin and was down in Austin taking care of us, not only all over Texas, but I knew she had a special gleam in her eye for Tarrant County. And so this is someone that we all admire, somebody who's been in the trenches fighting, just like Dr. Bean. But I am so thrilled to be able to welcome Attorney Elizabeth Beck, who is a candidate for House District 97, to this call.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deborah, for that lovely introduction. I am Elizabeth Beck. I'm your next state representative from House District 97. House District 97 is Southwest Fort Worth in Tarrant County. This is where I grew up. It's home. It's where I went to elementary, middle, and high school, and it's where I raised my two daughters now. Growing up wasn't easy in the district, not because the district wasn't full of amazing people, but because my childhood was very chaotic. But the community came together, my friends and family came together, and they filled the gaps and made sure that I had what I needed to be successful, to graduate high school and join the United States Army Reserves, where I spent 8.5 years and a year of that deployed in 2005 in Taji, Iraq. And those are my chaotic childhood and my time in the military really are what drive me and my perspective, how I want to lead in Austin. Empathy matters, and we need leaders with empathy. I have been the recipient of, a small act of kindness, someone looking out for you, and I've seen how that can absolutely change the trajectory of someone's life. Texas should be looking out for Texans, and we are not. And so we need to make sure that in this next legislative session, we have leaders with empathy, because we as a state are hurting. We are hurting physically, we are hurting financially, and we are hurting emotionally because of the impacts of the COVID-19 virus. It's also going to be an incredibly tough legislative session because we have such a budget gap here in the state. And that's where leadership comes in. You know, the Army taught me that leaders lead from the front, and that is not the easiest thing to do, because that means that you have to be willing to take that first step forward, and the potential shots that come with that. But it's important we have that in Austin, that we have leaders that lead, that we have someone like me who has experience, working with, living with, and even learning to love people that do not look, act, or think like you, to come together and complete the mission. And the mission that we have before us in this next legislative session is how we build Texas back in a way that everybody can participate, and in a way that does not cause us to have to dramatically cut services or dramatically raise taxes. And those are going to be some very tough decisions. And you want someone in Austin that's courageous, that's willing to get out and make those tough decisions and lead those discussions and roll up their sleeves. And that's why I'm running to represent the people of House District 97, because I think that they deserve that type of representative. We've got some great things going on in our campaign. We have a very robust field program, even though we're not out knocking door to door. We have phone banks almost daily. We have them in the evening and during the day, so we can accommodate you and your schedule whenever is convenient. We have postcards that we're writing to voters to, make sure they get out to the polls and vote on November 3rd, because this election is a matter of life or death. And, that is not hyperbole. We absolutely need leaders in Austin that are going to face this pandemic head on. They're going to do what's right for Texans, and they're going to make sure that we come back as strong as we possibly can. And that's through things like expanding Medicaid access, fully funding our public education system, and making sure that our workers, who are the backbone of Texas, have the protections that they need to go to work and be safe. So I would love to have you join the campaign. You can go to elizabethfortexas.com and sign up to volunteer. If you live in the district, get a yard sign. And I would not be doing my job as a candidate if I did not remind everybody that tonight at midnight is our last filing deadline before early vote starts. And we need to make sure that we have all of the resources that we need to make sure that we can finish strong November 3rd. So if you have the capacity, please go to elizabethfortexas.com, sign up to volunteer, and make a donation before midnight tonight. I want to thank you all so much for having me out tonight.
So that was beautifully done. And listen, Elizabeth Beck, I think I'm going to need a mediator because Steve Maxwell just said that I said you were my favorite lawyer. And so I'm saying it publicly. You are. So I think I'm going to need a mediator. But so.
Well, Steve can be your second favorite lawyer.
Okay, that works for me because we're going to get you elected. And so let me just tell you, these next two candidates, and they are candidates, and that's what people forget, is that they run every 2 years, is we could not be the Tarrant County Democratic Party we are without the Elizabeth Becks doing things like making sure that we have voter protections in place. We can't be the Tarrant County Democratic Party that we need to be without people like Dr. Lydia Bean, who are out there working on social justice issues. But we certainly could not be the Tarrant County Democratic Party that we are without the help of our elected officials. And the two people that I'm going to have speak now truly are Democrats. They can be counted on to do everything to get our candidates elected. And so he is now on, and I think Representative Ramon Romero, who is here from House District 90. Welcome, Representative Romero.
I don't know if I see him on.
Okay,
Deborah.
I thought Steve told me he was on.
Yeah,
so
he's on. He's under my name.
Okay.
I had to send him my link because he was in the vehicle.
Oh, there he is.
Go ahead and unmute, Ramon.
I'm good. Can y'all hear me?
Rename.
Can you see me?
Okay, you look great. How are you, Representative Romero?
I'm doing really, really well, exceptionally well, considering all the circumstances that we're all going through.
Yep.
You guys all know I'm in the field every day building construction projects. So look, it's good. It feels good to be out there in the, with I'm going to say my people, the construction workers, the essential workers that are putting their lives on the line every day to keep this Texas economy moving. And I loved listening to Elizabeth. I caught the very end of that. And just, I think every candidate that's there, we know who we represent. We represent the folks that show up every day, that punch a clock, that run small businesses, that keep the Texas economy moving, that don't complain, that just say, look, I know what I've got to do. I've got to go out and I've got to feed my family. I've got to make sure I pay the bills. And that's why we're working so hard, not only as an incumbent, along with my other colleagues in the legislature, but just to make sure that that's really the focus of the ledge, and to be unforgiving of policies and rhetoric that has been spilled over and over and over again in the House that doesn't really have our communities, and not just communities of color or poverty and so on, but just all communities, especially working class communities, that's their focus. So we're working on that real hard. We're going to continue to work on that hard. And that's why we're pushing so hard to elect these incredible people here in Tarrant County. I'm getting lots and lots of calls, guys. Lydia, Elizabeth, Joe, Jeff, all of you guys. I'm getting so many calls. What's going on in this district? What do you think, Ramon? And I'd say, send them some money now, because Tarrant County is ready. It started in Dallas County and it's moving west, and that wave is here, and we're going to take advantage of it, because I need every single one of you guys down there so we can pass legislation that makes sense. The last several minutes, or actually the last hour and a half, I've been on with the Mexican American Legislative Caucus, where we've been spending a lot of time talking about redistricting and talking about the census. We've got less than a week to get as many people to fill out the census, and we're not having as much success as we'd like. The fights that we have on the floor for redistricting fights, the fight that we're going to have this upcoming session, the fact that we're likely going to have a special session to deal with redistricting, and to think that there are people that don't know that this is when we need all of them to show up and actually do something as simple as filling out that census form and making sure they're counted, making sure that they get those resources. We're not doing a good enough job of it, and we need to do better. So as you guys are working your campaigns, make sure that we're also asking the question. I'm shocked that I still run across folks that I think that there is no way that they're not keenly aware of how important filling out the census is, and they tell me they still haven't done it. And I'd say, you're kidding. You've got 1 week to go. We've got to do it. Don't tell me that we fight this hard on the floor to talk about redistricting so that you don't do it. So look, I mean, we've got a lot of fights, a lot of things that are urgent right now. But like Elizabeth Beck just said, you know, this election on November the 3rd is as critical as anything that we've ever been involved in. And we're going to win. We're going to win, and we're going to go about it with the utmost confidence and understanding that it has to be God's will himself to make sure that Donald Trump is not in office so that the people can take this democracy back. There is no democracy with this us and them mentality that's going on, that I've witnessed in Austin for far too long, but that's only grown under this administration. It's us and them. It's those people that are extremists and rioting instead of people that actually care so much that they're willing to not go to work that day to go fight for a social justice issue. So I'm glad to be a part of the team. I'm going to continue to raise money and spend money here in Tarrant County. So if I haven't sent you any money lately, Tarrant County candidates, go ahead and call me afterwards, and I'll send you some more, because I'm eager to help in whichever way I can. And I know what it was like when I was a candidate and I couldn't. Hey, I know what it was like when I was a candidate and I couldn't raise money. So make the call. Y'all have my cell number. If you don't have it, it's 817-233-58.
Well, Elizabeth has already done it, Representative Romero. She said she needs money, so I'll do it for Lydia. But I want to thank you so much, because many people may not know it on this call, but you personally paid for yard signs to go in District 90. We have got to get people out to vote. And so the work you are doing to help us get people out to vote does not go unnoticed. And I have one of those blue signs, and I'm sorry, I'm in 95, but I have a blue sign, okay?
Yeah, no, you're
so good. I just want to thank you for all you do. And so we are going to send you some help there. And so I know that our next speaker is thrilled and excited at the prospect of seeing a Tarrant County delegation that is majority blue. And that is when we were getting ready, whenever I call you all, and I tell everybody, you never tell me no. I know the burden that's on you all to support people. And so I really work very hard not to bother you, but anytime I call you or anytime I call Representative Chris Turner, you always show up and show out, and I'm eternally grateful. So I want to thank you, Representative Romero. And I now have the pleasure of introducing the next speaker of the Texas House, because it has to be that way, the Honorable Chris Turner from House District 101.
Well, that is too kind of an introduction. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, Deborah. And look, first, thank you for your leadership for our county party. It's a hard job under the best of circumstances, and my gosh, doing it through a pandemic in this crazy election year, I can't even imagine. So thank you for what you and your team are doing, and thank y'all for putting this together tonight. It's great to see Brian Golden, our great labor leader for Tarrant County. Brian, thank you for everything you're doing, and Steve, thank you for your words earlier as well. And look, I'm thrilled to be here with my good friend Ramon Romero, who is just an outstanding member of the House and has done just great work representing Tarrant County, and is a key part of our leadership in the Democratic caucus in Austin. And Ramon's right. We've been through some fights on the floor of the Texas House these last few years. And, you know, we've gotten pretty good at playing defense. We've gotten pretty good at killing a lot of the worst Republican bills that are out there, especially as it relates to labor. We were successful in killing the dues checkoff bill, where basically a paycheck deception bill, where they wanted to deny public teachers and other public employees from the right to pay their union dues and have them deducted from their paycheck. We killed bills to preempt paid sick leave ordinances that cities, unfortunately none in Tarrant County yet, but cities like Austin, San Antonio, and Dallas have adopted. We killed those efforts to overturn those laws, and a variety of other things. But as Ramon alluded to, we've certainly been on the losing end of a lot of tough fights. And probably there's a lot of bad examples, none worse probably than SB4, the Show Me Your Papers law, the so-called sanctuary cities law that Republicans rammed through in 2017. And this is why this election, that's a good way to recognize why this election is so important. We need to defeat Trump, as Ramon just said, and we need to defeat Trumpism, because Trumpism is alive and well in the U.S. Congress, the Texas legislature, and I would add in the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office here. And so we need to weed out the insidious political ideology espoused by Donald Trump and his followers that is anti-labor, anti-worker, anti-person of color, and frankly, I think, un-American and undemocratic. And when you look at what this president is doing right now, what he is saying about whether he'll accept the election results or not, it's just unfathomable. And we have to defeat him, and we have to defeat his allies. And so that's why I'm so excited. We have such great candidates running for the Texas House all over the state, but especially right here in Tarrant County. And it's a real treat for me to be here tonight with Lydia Bean and Elizabeth Beck, both running excellent campaigns. Both have a lot of buzz about their races. As Ramon said, I get those calls too. And so, yeah, these candidates are the real deal. And they're running great races. More importantly, though, they are running for the right reasons. They're running because they see a need to serve their community, to serve our community, and help deliver on the unfulfilled potential of our state. There's no reason a state as wealthy as Texas, with as many resources as Texas, has the most uninsured of any state in the nation. 5 million Texans, no health insurance. It's inexcusable, but Republicans don't care. They don't care. They've not done a thing about it, and they won't do a thing about it. Republicans will talk a lot about the public education bill we passed last session. It was a good bill. Ramon and I both supported it. But you know what? We were 43rd in the nation in classroom spending before that bill, or 42nd after that bill. So we got a long ways to go still. And whether it's on healthcare or education or equality, civil rights, criminal justice reform, we have a ton of work to do to achieve the kind of Texas that lets all Texans participate in the process, and all Texans have a shot at the American dream. And so next session, we've got, as Elizabeth said earlier, we've got a very tough situation on our hands. We've got a tough budget situation. We have a healthcare crisis in the state. We have an economic crisis where more than 3 million Texans have had to file for unemployment insurance in the last 6 months. And so we need leaders who are serious about taking on those issues. And Ramon and I need reinforcements because we're tired of being outnumbered. We're ready to start winning some of these fights on the House floor. Like I said, we've gotten good at playing defense. We want to start playing some offense, though. And by Tarrant County having a strong turnout in this election and helping elect Lydia, Elizabeth, and our other candidates, including Joe Drago, Jeff Whitfield, and Elisa Simmons, we can do it, and we can win a majority in the Texas House and have a Democratic speaker for the first time in 20 years. So it's great to be with you tonight. Thank you for everything you're doing. Madam Chair, I'll say if there are Biden-Harris signs that I can buy for District 101,
we have Biden-Harris signs. And let me just tell everybody, and I want to thank you, Chris, for asking about that. The signs are $10 each. You can get them on the Biden website for $25. But the reason that we charge $10, all that money goes toward our coordinated campaign. So all the texting we're doing, the phone banking we're doing, the push cards that we've been walking, the lit drops that we've been using, all your donations help to buy that. So yes, we have signs. And I think Heather just put it in the chat. And Steve Maxwell, before you put it in the chat, I've been riding around with your signs in my trunk for days. I will get them to you. But let me just tell you why I love having Ramon and Chris Turner on the call tonight. They are committed to making sure that we elect every Democrat that's on the ticket. That is why we're telling everybody, don't stop at the top. You vote from the top of the ballot to the bottom of the ballot. And I laughed because Commissioner Brooks said it best. We were talking about don't stop at the top. He said, you can't, because you'll never get to me if you don't vote down to the bottom of the ballot. You know, the county races are down toward the bottom of the ballot. So we are really focused on getting everybody to do that. And so I see, John, and you're saying and city council. But so, Chris, one of the questions that people ask me today is, what do you see individuals can do to help these candidates?
Sure. Well, great question. And I'd love the candidates to share their campaign specifically, what people can do. But at this stage of the campaign cycle, the needs are just immense. There's all kinds of things that have to be done. And like Lydia and Elizabeth said, it's different because of the pandemic. So, not so much door to, normally you'd say we need people to go door to door. There's less of that going on, although some campaigns may be doing lit drops door to door. Some campaigns I know are putting out yard signs. That's important. People can help with that. But making phone calls, calling voters. A lot of campaigns are using Hustle or another program to text voters. Texting voters is a key way to contact people right now. If campaigns are doing postcards, volunteers can help fill out and mail postcards. There's a lot of sharing the campaign's information about the candidates on your social media, on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever other platforms you use, emailing your friends and neighbors. Between now and the voter registration deadline, which is coming up quick, make sure your networks are registered to vote. If they're not registered or if they're unsure, get them registered. That's key. But I'd love for the candidates to address that themselves.
And also I see Brian Golden has his hand raised. And so Brian, you want to chime in on that? Brian, I see that big blue hand.
There it is. Hey, I think I'm unmuted.
You did?
Yes. Hey, listen, as far as labor, we need labor. We need labor to put out signs. If you are ready to work, we can put you to work. Get in touch with us at the Labor Council. We can get signs out. We can make things happen. We can make things move. Just let me know and get in touch with me, and I can put you to work. We can. We have like $15 an hour that can make things happen. So if you got like college kids and or high school kids that need some work, we got it.
Well, Brian, we're going to take you up on that because we're getting 50 Biden-Harris 4x8 signs that need to go out. I have my candidate signs that they're dropping off at the office. We have 60 signs to put out for our judicial candidates. So you let me know and we're ready to go. So Elizabeth, I know.
Find labor. We can find labor. Labor can help.
Okay. Well, and labor has help. So Elizabeth Beck, I know that you've been seeing your signs being stolen and we've been putting them back up as fast as we can put them back up. But what do you need from us?
Well, thank you for doing that and staying on top of that. They must be scared, right? If they're tearing down signs. I mentioned that we're phone banking. We have our next large phone bank will be on the 28th. We'll be partnering with Beto's organization, Powered by People, to call through the district. We do have postcarding opportunities available. But one thing we're doing here on this campaign, a lot of people are timid about contacting people that they don't know, making those cold calls. And so I understand that. And we've got a workaround for you. We have instituted our REACH program, which is an app that you can download. It syncs your contacts with the voter file of everyone in this district. So you get to reach out and speak directly to people you already know about the election, about how important it is, and why they should choose me to be their next state representative. So we have all sorts of options, phone banking, postcarding, our REACH program, and also donations.
All right, thank you. So Ramon, before I go to this, before I go to you to ask for things, we do, and because Elizabeth Beck reminded me, we have a great voter protection program through the state party. And so Steve Maxwell, I just want you to say hi to everybody, and I want to thank you because I know you're working voter protection this time. So you're going to protect the ballots for Elizabeth, Lydia, Ramon, and Chris. Can you unmute Steve Maxwell?
I am unmuted, and I can't tell you how fired up I am to protect these voters this time, because we're going to have some problems. You know we are. Mm-hmm. But we're going to be ready for everything they can throw at us.
Good. Well, that's exciting. And I know you've got 4 smiling candidates knowing that you're on the case, and I am too. So Ramon, how can we help Steve? Okay, if we see people intimidating voters, what should we do? Did I lose Ramon?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Well, I know that I've always made the first call to you, Aunt Deb. So I'd say you call your Tarrant County Democratic Party. You call the Tarrant County Elections Office as well. Mm-hmm. But look, I mean, I'm not going to say that we're going to fight fire with fire, but I've been known to intimidate a person or two myself. And if you're in the line, because I see it almost every time when I go to vote or when I'm at the booth passing out information outside, there's a little bit of intimidation going around. And bullies will be bullies when they're allowed to be bullies. Uh-huh. But bullies need to get straightened out. And that's some folks say, look, that's not my style. But I have to say in this election, it's going to have to be a little bit out on both of our sides. Just to be representative of those people, of all people, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, there will be no bullying at the polls. There will be no intimidation at the polls. There will not be individuals asking people, why are you in line? Can you even vote? Are you illegal? Because I've heard that, so I say stand up, no matter where you are, stand up, make the call. So whether it be the elections office of Tarrant County or whatever county you're in. But certainly, Aunt Deb, and I don't know if you have folks just standing there ready to go pick a fight, but I know that I would guess that you have folks ready to go in case if there's a problem at the polls.
Yes, well, and so Representative Romero and Representative Turner, so you all will know this year, we are instituting a program, and so please forgive me because this is not the right word, but I'm calling them vote cheerleaders, and we plan to have it every one of the 141 locations, volunteers there to keep people to ask people to stay in line and to report things that are happening outside the polls. I think we'll have great people inside the polls, but we're worried about intimidation outside the poll. I think you saw what happened in Virginia the other day with voters, with the other side standing outside intimidating voters. So we want to have some people to encourage people to stay in line, not necessarily to be there not to be confrontational, but to encourage people to stay in line. We had 600,000 people who voted in the 2018 election. I think we could easily hit 750,000 people in Tarrant County voting on from the 13th through Election Day. And we have to make sure that if people are in line, they know that someone is there for them. So we're gonna be working hard, and we've started getting those folks together. So Lydia, I was gonna ask you, I mean, I know that on Saturday, we distributed 50,000 voter registration cards, and we still have a few days before voter registration is up, before the deadline for voter registration. So can you talk to us about what we can still do in these 5 days to help get people registered?
Yeah, I just got word that there was a court ruling that Texans, as of today, have the right to register to vote online when they update their driver's license. So that may be too late to help us this election. But I just want to note that in the past you had the right to update your voter to when you went to update your voter your driver's license online,
yeah.
you would check a box to register to vote, and then it would just go into the void and nothing would happen.
Yeah.
And so the Texas Civil Rights Project sued the state of Texas over that, and they won. So that's really great news. The way we're registering people online is there's a link which hopefully Heather can maybe drop in the comments, where even though you can't register online, you can fill out the form online and have it mailed to you or print it out. And so we use that link, and then we get their phone number and email so we can follow up to make sure they actually do that. And that's how we've been registering folks through the phone.
Right.
And that's really helpful. And a lot of people, that's really helpful. They want to check their voter registration online, or they want to make sure they're registered, or they just moved. And it's not too late to do that, and to check with all your friends and family, make sure they're registered to vote at their current address, so that when they go in, there'll be no surprises.
Okay, well, that is wonderful. And the reason I bring up voter registration, I'm not giving up. I'm registering people all the way up to the October 5th deadline. And it is just critical that everybody knows about that. So the other question, and Marva, I saw you wanted somebody to call you at the Southeast Courthouse. But, okay, I just want everybody to know, okay, that I have my 2-year-old granddaughter who is writing on my TV, so I'm going to apologize. She's leaving the room now. But so, Chris, before we got to my 2-year-old granddaughter, I want you to remind everybody why it's so critical that they volunteer for a campaign, and not just come on Zoom calls, but get off the phone and go volunteer.
Absolutely. Well, it's how we win. It's the difference between winning and losing. And, we have to have people talking to voters, explaining to them, any number of things. You got to talk about why it's important to vote, how to vote. We got to explain the fact that you don't have straight ticket voting anymore in Texas. You got to go all the way down the ballot to find Lydia, to find Elizabeth, to find Vance Keys. And you got to say where to vote, when to vote. All the voters need to get all that information. There's a lot coming at people right now with this pandemic. There's a lot of confusion out there on social media because, frankly, created intentionally by Republicans, probably by Russians again, to confuse people and create doubt about the election. So voters need good information. They need good information about the candidates to understand the candidates are on their side on the issues, but also the mechanics of voting. So that is the difference between winning and losing in this race. TV ads are important. They can only go so far. Mail pieces are important, but they can only go so far. It takes those one-on-one conversations between election workers, volunteers and voters. That's what brings it home. And that's what we need here in these less than 6 weeks now.
I could not have said it better. It's the difference between winning and losing. And so, Chris, we have told everybody we are in a pandemic. These are frightening times. And, I hear many people say, well, I was going to walk and do lit drops, but I can't do that. But there are so many other things you can do. And you're absolutely right. We are doing a texting program at the Tarrant County Democratic Party. So we need people to text. I'm going to remind you again of the phone banks that we have on every Tuesday night on the predictive dialer. I mean, you can jump on that phone bank. They teach you how to do it. It's scripted. It's easy. And so please join a phone bank. I'm not asking you to go and expose yourself to COVID, but there are many things that we can do right here. You're right. Use your social media. And I see Brian, what are the texting links? Brandon, we'll be getting the texting links to you shortly. And so Heather on our communications team is working with our vendor to get all that set up. And we're gonna be urging you to don't stop at the top, vote for every Democrat. And I see Brian's got his hand up again. So Brian, what does Labor want us to do? Brian, unmute.
Well,
Okay.
There we go. Unmute.
There he is.
There you go.
There we are. Hey,
Okay.
hey, if anybody needs any kind of work, come out. We will get you some work. We're paying $15 an hour. Come out. We will find you work to help this get out the vote campaign. Call the Labor Council office. We got it. Come see it.
So
thank you so much.
If you don't mind, Deborah, I'll jump in real quick. So we do always have the links available. I just put the bit.ly link in there in the chat just a minute ago. If you want to help on the sideline, because obviously your first option is to go and help your candidate directly. Candidate of your choice is always the best route to go. But if you want to help through the labor endorsement process, we highlight a different candidate every week, and then we roll back around and keep going through the cycle till we contact everybody. But we're calling union members directly and asking them and their entire family to show up and vote, not because it's a Democratic Party, but because they're our labor partners. So that being the case, it's a much different conversation. I was on the phone today with a 75-year-old retiree, and once she found out who I was calling from, and I said AFL-CIO, and I mentioned her union, my union, she immediately changed tone and said, okay, good, no problem. I trust you guys. Who are we voting for this time? Right? And it's because they know they have a delegate in that room that has their best interests at heart when they make that endorsement and they vote with us. And it is a democratic process. If you can't convince the majority of the people in that room that you're going to help our labor constituency group, you do not get the vote and you don't pass go. So they know they can trust us. So that link in there, I just put it again. It's the bit.ly/TCCLC VOL. That's a long one, but it's Tarrant County Central Labor Council volunteer. Additionally, we do have full-time positions available during these get out the vote efforts, which means that we will be paying additional hands to be on the phones and calling on behalf of these candidates. As soon as we're done with our union member to member calls, we will be engaging the regular public. So it's not just our membership that we're addressing. And this is happening across every single one of the targeted districts out there. We're even going in on some of the higher races, like the Sheriff Vance Keys, where we're going to be able to reach out and concentrate our efforts in areas like Chris Turner and Ramon Romero's districts to also get some lift there. So there are opportunities everywhere. Obviously, we do want to make sure that everybody's taken care of as an employee. So I appreciate everybody on this phone call and the campaigns for ensuring that all of their campaigns are paying out fair wages and taking care of their people.
Excellent. Well, it is, and we ran a little bit over, and I've got to apologize because it is 7 o'clock, but this is so critical. And I want to thank our labor partners for all the work you're doing and to help turn Tarrant County blue. I mean, the success that we started seeing in the last cycle was wonderful. But guys, you're right. This is a numbers game. It's getting our people to the polls, and we need to do those type of activities that will get our folks to the polls. So I'm going to ask you, please, the candidates, please drop your information in the chat about the individual candidates. I want to thank Labor for always being so supportive and for being so wonderful and making sure that we are taking care of Democrats who have great values. And remember, you don't stop at the top. And so Judge Tina U. Clinton said it best. I was on a call with her and she said, if you can't remember my name, just remember the D. Just remember I'm a Democrat. We should be asking people to go down that ballot and vote for every Democrat on the ballot from the top to the bottom. We are judges. We can elect 10 new judges in Tarrant County. That will change the face of justice. We can elect a new sheriff, a new tax assessor collector, new constables, but more than anything, we can change the face of the legislature, the Texas legislator, by electing great Democrats right here in Tarrant County. And so, Heather, I want to, before we drop, I also want to thank Congressman Mark Vesey. We are having Congresswoman Barbara Lee from California, who was on Senator Kamala Harris's Finance Committee. She is going to be speaking to us at our first virtual Wild Woman Luncheon. And Congressman Vesey is a sponsor at the $1,000 level. So I encourage you all to sign up for that. Also, Heather put in there, we're going to have a debate watch party, and there will be a State House candidate town hall on October the 1st at 6 p.m. I hope you will come back and join this. You can see this on Facebook Live. And again, go Union, go Democrats. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Good night. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hi, this is Deborah Peoples, your Tarrant County Democratic Party chair, thanking you for all the work that you're doing to turn Tarrant County blue. As you can see, we have great candidates up and down the ballot. Please donate to tarrantdemocrats.org/donate to ensure that we have the dollars to elect these candidates up and down our ballot.